It's the end of June and summer vacation is in full swing. I'm standing on the sidewalk in front of my house waiting with anticipation for my cousins Natalie and Nathan to pull up. Every summer, once school ends, either I go up to Maine to stay with their family for 2 months, or they come down to Tennessee to stay with me and my parents. Since I went to Maine last summer, this year they're coming here. Wyatt, why don't you come wait for them inside? It's nice and cool in here. I've got the air running, Mom calls from the porch. I shield my eyes from the blazing hot sun and glance down at my watch. Where are they? They should have been here by now, I think to myself. I turn to head inside, and just as my foot touches the bottom step of the porch, I hear a horn beeping behind me. I spin around so fast I nearly fall. A massive grin spreads across my face as soon as the car comes to a stop and Nathan bolts out of the back seat. He rams me like a bull and we go toppling into the grass, laughing. By the time we get up and compose ourselves, Natalie is climbing out of the car. When I approach her to say hi, she doesn't even notice that I'm there because her eyes are glued to her phone. I wave my hand in front of her face. Earth to Natalie. She removes the earbuds from her ears and apologizes before giving me a hug. Nathan and I are both 12. Natalie's a few years older than us. Although she used to love hanging out with her little brother and younger cousin, she's recently become more interested in other things, like her new iPhone and constantly taking selfies. When I talked to Nathan on the phone last week, he told me that she didn't even want to spend the summer with us this year. She said she thought it'd be boring here. So I guess my aunt and uncle forced her to come. But I'm determined to change her mind and remind her how much fun she has when she's with the two of us. I have a ton of stuff planned for us to do this summer. We're going to see a drive-in movie for the first time. My parents booked a trip for us in August to go to Virginia Beach for a week. And for Natalie's birthday, we're going to go to her favorite amusement park, Dollywood. We're also going ziplining, kayaking, hiking, and I tried to talk my parents into letting us go skydiving, but I didn't win that battle. One thing that Nathan, Natalie, and I all love is camping. My dad just bought me a new tent for making the honor roll, and I haven't told him yet, but tonight the three of us are going camping in the woods behind my house. We all head inside, and they go to their rooms to unpack. Nathan always stays with me because I have a bunk bed in my room, and Natalie gets the guest bedroom down the hall from mine. Once Nathan's finished unpacking, he and I hang out in my room and play video games, while Natalie sits outside on the front porch, immersed in her phone. About an hour later, Mom calls us down for dinner. We crowd around the table and start reaching for the taco shells. Once everyone gets situated and begins to eat, I decide now is a good time to tell Nathan and Natalie about what we'll be doing tonight. "No way! That's so cool!" Nathan exclaims. I was expecting Natalie to have a similar reaction, but that's not the case. "You guys go ahead without me." Nathan and I both turn and look at her surprised, but before either of us can say anything, her father clears his throat and chimes in. "Natalie, we already talked about this." She lets out a sigh and without much enthusiasm says, "Fine, I can't wait to go camping tonight, you guys. We're going to have a great time." After dinner, my aunt and uncle leave and we start getting everything together. Dad heads out back with my tent and he starts setting that up while we change into our PJs, grab our sleeping bags and some snacks, and say goodnight to my mom. They'll be able to keep an eye on us throughout the night. Dad set up the tent so that they can see it from their bedroom window, and we have walkie-talkies to communicate with them. Plus, I'm almost certain that Natalie will be bringing her phone along, so they can always call us too. Finally, after we've got everything we need, we head outside with our flashlights and enter the woods behind my house. The tent isn't too deep into the woods, probably only about 30 feet. We set up our sleeping bags and get comfortable, and then I zip the tent closed. We talk for a little while about what we'll be doing this summer, and then Dad contacts us on the walkie-talkie and tells us it's time for bed. So we turn off the lantern and flashlights. Now I'm lying there in the darkness, and the only thing I hear are the crickets chirping and Nathan's soft snores. I start to doze off when suddenly Natalie pops up, lifts her sleeping mask, and cuts on her flashlight. She starts shining it all around the tent, and her eyes are big and wide, following the light wherever it goes. "What are you doing?" I whisper. "Didn't you hear that?" "I didn't hear anything. Now go back to sleep," I tell her as I slide back into my sleeping bag. She flicks the flashlight off, and once again, there's nothing but darkness and silence. But then a moment later, I do hear something. Natalie leaps up this time. I heard it again. Yeah, I heard it this time too. A relieved look spreads across her face. It sounded like singing. Natalie nods her head in agreement. Yeah. I shake Nathan awake. He sits up and wipes the sleep from his eyes. What's going on? We heard something. It sounded like a woman singing. He listens closely for a second. I don't hear anything. Maybe it was a car driving past, or a bird. Natalie gives him a look. In the middle of the night? He shrugs his shoulders. As they're arguing back and forth about what the sound could have actually been, I'm busy unzipping the tent. By the time they realize what I'm doing, I'm already standing outside. They follow behind me, asking where I'm going. I place my finger against my lips, motioning for them to stay quiet. Then I hear it again, but only faintly this time. I follow the sound through the woods. When I turn around, Nathan's following close behind me, but Natalie's still standing next to the tent. When she realizes that we have no plans to turn around and come back, she reluctantly chases after us. We get pretty deep into the woods. I can't even see the tent or my house anymore, when finally we discover where the sound is coming from. A tree. But it's not just any tree. It doesn't look like any of the others in the woods surrounding it. This one is massive, with leaves falling from its branches so fast that it looks almost like falling snow. They blow around gently in the cool night breeze, looking as graceful as a dancing ballerina. In the middle of the tree is a large hole, big enough for someone to fit through. Although the woods are dark, the full moon brilliantly shines in the night sky, casting just enough light to see the tree in all its beauty. Bathed in a bright angelic light, it stands out from the rest of the landscape around it. It has a sort of fairy tale quality to it. Nathan approaches the tree, leans one hand up against it, his fingers gripping into the crevices that run through the bark, when suddenly his hand begins to glow, a bright golden color. "This is awesome," he squeals with excitement. Natalie storms forward and pulls his hand away. "Hey, what are you doing? Are you nuts? You don't know what is wrong with this thing. It obviously isn't a normal tree. What if you catch something?" "Really, Natalie? Like what?" "I don't know. Some sort of bacteria or something," she tells him, trying to sound smart. I butt in and tell them, "Guys, I've been in these woods a lot of times, and I've never noticed this tree here." "Well, maybe you never came out this far." "Yeah, not by myself I haven't. But me and my dad have gone pretty deep into these woods dozens of times before." "Let's climb inside and check it out," Nathan suggests. "Are you even listening to anything I'm saying? I just told you that I've never noticed this tree here before." "Even more reason to see what's inside. What if we leave and decide to come back tomorrow and then it's gone? Won't you regret it?" Before I have a chance to answer, Natalie chimes in. "Nope, I won't. Now come on, let's go." "Wait, hold on a second. Maybe he's right. Let's go inside, just a little bit, not too far. Aren't you even the tiniest bit curious?" "Oh, fine, you guys are so annoying," she shouts as she climbs inside and follows behind Nathan, who has already stepped through the hole. I climb in after her and whisper, "Everybody stay close together." Natalie pulls something from her pocket and hands it to Nathan. Once he turns it on, I see that it's a flashlight. He shines it out in front of him and leads the way deeper into the tree. Nothing surrounds us but darkness and stars, and the ground beneath us, which is blowing my mind because we should be on the other side of the tree. But this is definitely not the woods behind my house. We can now hear the singing once again. It's getting louder the farther into the tree we walk. It's an alluring, sweet melody that sounds as if it's drifting on the wind. "Is that the noise you said you heard?" Nathan asks. "Yes," I say, nodding my head. Goosebumps begin to rise on my arms as a sudden coldness sweeps over me. "Is it me, or did it just get really cold in here?" I whisper to the others. They agree with me that it has gotten extremely cold. We probably should have turned around right then and there. But like I said before, I'm determined to remind Natalie how fun me and Nathan are. And what could be more fun than exploring a strange tree in the middle of the woods? Hey, do you guys see that? Nathan suddenly asks, stopping abruptly. Natalie bumps into him, and then I bump into her. He flicks the flashlight off, but light is still visible a little ways up ahead. I can practically hear Natalie's heart racing. Guys, maybe we should turn around and head back. I have a really bad feeling about this. No way. Go ahead if you want to, but me and Wyatt are going to see where that light is coming from. I squeeze past her so that now I'm standing behind Nathan. You used to be fun. What happened? We're walking through this surreal, never-ending tree, and all you're probably thinking about is your phone, aren't you? That's not true. Prove it then. Come with us and stop complaining and trying to get us to change our minds. We continue to head toward the light, and after walking another few feet, we see that it's coming through a gigantic archway. We walk through it, and when we finally cross the threshold, I look back and see an even bigger tree with what looks like an archway big enough for a car to drive through. And now we've emerged into a place that I can only describe as magical. There is a lake filled with the most translucent, crystal clear blue water that I've ever seen. And running over the edge of a cliff high above is a waterfall. The white water is tumbling down a series of rocks, giving the effect of many waterfalls rather than just the one. There is a rainbow of different types of flowers surrounding the lake in colors that I've never seen before, like gold and silver. And sitting near the edge is a woman, and she's singing. This place is amazing, Natalie says, gasping. I wish I'd brought my phone so I could take some pictures. I walk closer to the lake and peer into the water. Looking into it is like staring through a piece of perfect glass, unsmudged by the sticky handprints of small children. There are all types of sea creatures swimming around in it. Some I recognize and others I don't. But the plethora of fish filling the lake is beyond believable. I didn't know so many breeds existed. The air is pungent with a mixture of fragrances from all of the different flowers. Then I notice that I can't see my reflection in the water. I can see everything else around me, except myself. Welcome, a woman calls out in a sing-songy voice. We turn to see where it's coming from and soon realize it's the same woman who was singing. She summons us over to where she is comfortably sitting at the edge of the lake. We walk to her, pulled by an invisible string of symphony that drifts toward us. I soon find myself lost in her beautiful appearance as the last note of her song curls softly from her lips. When we get close up, I can see that her legs and feet are submerged in the water, and an image of the snow-capped mountains in the distance behind her are perfectly mirrored in the water below. That's also when I notice that she doesn't look like an average woman that you would just see walking down the street. The top half of her looks normal. Her skin is a chestnut color, her blushed cheeks match her scorching red hair, and she's wearing a green dress that stops right at her thighs. That's where things start to get weird. From the knee down, her legs appear to be covered in a swirling pattern of tree bark. And right where her feet should be, her legs transform into tree branches, sprouted with rich green leaves and vibrant pink flowers. Some of them are floating in the water around her and being eaten by the many sea creatures. What is this place? Nathan asks her. This is Lake Harmony, and this is the unknown. The unknown? Yes, the unknown, which means it can be whatever you want it to be. Nathan smiles at the sound of that. I'm starting to get the same idea that Natalie originally had. I'm thinking it may be time to go. I'm just about to tell Nathan what I'm thinking when the air suddenly fills with wisps of smoke. What's going on? Natalie shouts in a panic. The three of us crowd together in hopes of not getting separated. The smoke isn't your typical smoke. It's not thick and heavy, and it doesn't choke you like you'd think. It kind of just floats around. Once it clears, Natalie asks the lady sitting by the lake, "How do we get out of here?" She replies, "The way you came in is not the way out. Find the fairies and they'll help you break out. But beware the roar, that means trouble is coming. If you hear it ring out, you better start running." Then she waves her hand and guides us toward a path. She tells us that if we follow it, we're sure to find the fairies. Of course, Natalie is the first one to start heading down it, but I stop her. Wait a minute, do you really think that we can trust her? Maybe we should just go back the way we came in. What? Do you think she's lying? Well, did you take a good look at her? Yeah, I sure did, Nathan says, smiling. Didn't you notice that she had tree bark for legs and branches for feet? I say, pointing back toward the lake. Both of them shake their heads, but when they turn around to take another look, she's gone. What are you saying, Wyatt? Do you think she lured us here with her singing? I think that could be a possibility. How else do you explain all of this? I think he's right, Nathan. We'd better go. Please, guys, come on. Let's just see what's down this path. I know you're curious. You can't tell me you're not. After that, we can leave, Nathan says with a mischievous smile. I reluctantly agree, and then so does Natalie. So Nathan leads us down the cobblestone path. Now we're in what appears to be some sort of forest, and it looks like it goes on forever. The forest hums with life all around us. I gaze up at the sky, searching for the birds that I hear singing sweetly. The sun is trying to break through the cracks, and when it finally does, it lights up the path ahead of me, revealing overgrown tree roots, tons of wildflowers, and leaves that crunch beneath my feet. I trudge on, not knowing what's ahead. As we walk along, suddenly, everything becomes silent, and then a voice floods the space around us and says,
Hello.
We frantically search for where it's coming from, but can't find a single soul anywhere.
Hey, watch it. You nearly crushed me,
says the same voice. I look down, then back up and stare at Nathan and Natalie with a look of astonishment on my face, wondering if they're seeing the same thing that I am. And indeed they are, because they're looking back at me with the same type of look on their faces. This can't be, Natalie whispers. Standing before us is a creature that I thought only existed in fairy tales. Standing at only about 3 or 4 feet tall, it has slate gray, flaky skin, and its body looks bumpy, almost like a sack of rocks. A small head sits atop its shoulders, scattered with sparse, lank hair that looks out of place. Its legs are like tree trunks, and it has warty feet and hairy toes. Every time it breathes, a rancid odor fills the air around us. Nathan kneels down and asks, Can you help us get out of here? We were told we need to find the fairies. Do you know where they are? What I can only call a troll nods its head. But before it can respond, a thunderous roar echoes throughout the forest, shaking the trees. A shiver runs down my spine as I ask, What in the world was that? The troll tells us,
You need to run and hide. Trouble is headed our way.
Immediately I think back to the riddle the lady by the lake said to us. Then I begin to search for shelter, but find that we're surrounded by nothing but trees. I beg the troll, Please, you must know this forest better than anyone. Can you help us find a place to hide? It nods its head vigorously and then leads us through the forest to a ditch, and then it just disappears. We leap inside as the booming roars get louder and closer. Then we crouch down as low as we possibly can and cover ourselves with some massive leaves we find lying around on the ground nearby. I do everything I can to stay quiet and still. I try my best not to even breathe. Suddenly, the ground starts to shake, sending vibrations throughout my entire body. Then cracks begin to appear in the dirt beneath me. I glance over at Natalie. She's as quiet as a mouse, but tears are streaming down her face. She looks back at me and mouths, I'm scared. I mouth back, me too. Suddenly I start to smell smoke, and then flames appear to the left and right of us. And then sharp sticks start poking through the tops of the leaves, trying to stab us. When we peel back the leaves, we see dozens of trolls with spears in their hands. It takes me a second to realize what's happening. The troll who I thought had helped us actually tricked us, and instead of a hiding spot, he led us to a feeding pit for the trolls. Nathan manages to climb up out of the ditch, and then he goes running through the forest, screaming. As the fire gets closer and closer, the trolls swarm the top of the ditch, so I reach up and grab one of their spears and end up pulling the troll down on top of me. It sinks its teeth into my arm. Now Natalie has managed to jump up out of the ditch, and she goes chasing after Nathan. Some of the trolls go after both of them, but a few of them remain behind and continue to attack me. I manage to grab the spear and start jabbing at them, which allows me a split second to leap up out of the ditch. Then I go bounding through the forest after Nathan and Natalie. I can see them running in the distance up ahead of me. The ground continues to shake beneath my feet, causing me to almost lose my balance. Then the deafening roar rattles through my ears once again, sounding like whatever beast that's coming is right behind me. I try to run faster, but soon realize that I've lost sight of them. I slow down my pace, hoping to catch sight of them once again, but I was running so fast before that now everything is spinning. Just when I turn to look behind me, my eyes rest upon one of the most hideous creatures I've ever seen. It stands off in the distance, towering over me, with one single eye planted right in the center of its forehead. It opens its mouth and a series of growls escape from its oversized lips. I stand there frozen, not sure whether I should run or not. But then it starts charging toward me and I let out a blood-curdling scream. I attempt to race back to the ditch that we were previously hiding in, but trying to find it is like running through a maze. Everywhere I turn, everything looks exactly the same. 1 second this thing is right on my heels, and then it just stops chasing me. That's when I realize that Nathan is on the other side of the forest, screaming at the top of his lungs, trying to get its attention. It instantly changes direction and starts stampeding toward him at full speed. I still see no sign of Natalie. The thing has caught up with Nathan now, and he's desperately trying to run away from it. Suddenly, I hear a loud splash, and Nathan and the thing are both gone. They just disappeared. I call out Nathan's name again and again, but get no reply. Then I start to get the feeling that something or someone is watching me. A second later, my suspicions are confirmed when I hear heavy breathing, and then the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. I swiftly turn and come face to face with Natalie. We're so close, our noses are almost touching. I breathe a sigh of relief. Thank goodness, I was worried it was another one of those strange creatures lurking behind me. She has a look of pure fear on her face. That troll. It was a trap. He led the others right to us. And now I think they've killed Nathan. What are you talking about? I just saw Nathan. He was on the other side of the forest. He lured that giant beast away from me. I grab her by the hand and lead the way, walking in the direction that I saw Nathan go as we continue to search the forest for the fairies. We stroll through it for what feels like an eternity and still haven't found them or him yet when day turns to night. I have no sense of time in this place. It was night when we entered the hole in the tree, but once we got to the forest it was daytime, and now it's changed back to night again. I debate whether we should find a place to hide until it gets light out, but then decide that we need to get out of here as soon as possible. My parents will be looking for us once it's morning. I don't know, it could already be. So we continue to search, but I swear we're just going in circles. As we sit down and lean up against a tree to take a rest, I start to hear giggles. I stop and whisper to Natalie, asking if she heard them too. Then I hear the sound of water splashing, just like I heard right before Nathan vanished. I leap up and race toward the sound. Suddenly, the forest begins to change into tiny pixels, and then a second later we emerge onto a beach and the forest is gone. It seems like we just walked through an invisible wall that was hiding what was on the other side. I tell Natalie, I think this is where Nathan went. But she's not listening to me. Her eyes are transfixed on the vast ocean before us. Darkness engulfs the beach, and the stars reflect off of the cold, dark water. Some dull, some merely flicker into existence, but there's a large amount shimmering bright like diamonds against the moonless sky. As we inch closer to the water, I can now see that whatever we heard giggling and laughing, there are a lot of them, and they have grayish skin and long, wild hair that cascades down past their shoulders. When a group of them swimming near the shore hear Natalie and I approaching, they turn toward us and their eyes shine in the darkness, a bright golden yellow color. They're all wearing a thick rope of pebbles around their necks and a bikini top made from 2 seashells. They leer at us and swim farther out into the ocean, all except for one. She remains where she is and watches us attentively with her beady fish eyes, her powerful silvery fishtail beating against the water. Shiny golden scales cover her entire body and shimmer in the darkness. Natalie proceeds to walk toward her, but I stay back. Once Natalie gets right to the edge of the water, she sits down, and what I would guess is a mermaid swims over to her. Now I can see that her fishtail has a rubbery look to it, kind of like a dolphin. Her nose is small and flattened, with tiny nostrils, and she has pinkish gray lips. She opens her mouth and starts to say something to Natalie, revealing 2 rows of sharp pointy teeth. I dart over there because I just know that Natalie's about to be taken by this thing and I'm going to have to rescue her. But once I reach the water's edge, that's clearly not the case. Natalie is giggling as the mermaid fiddles with her hair and tells her how pretty she is. When all of the others see that we're not a threat, they slowly begin to swim closer as well. Then I notice an outline coming down the beach toward us. I squint and peer into the darkness to get a better look. Nathan? Nathan, is that you? I race toward him once his figure fully comes into focus and give him a hug. What happened to you? Where did you disappear to? Natalie and I have been searching all over for you. That thing, I don't know, it chased me onto the beach. Then I lost it and haven't seen it since. I've been walking up and down the beach trying to find a way out of here. Well, did you ask the mermaids? No way! They tried to lure me over to the water, but I assumed they couldn't be trusted. Well, Natalie seems to think differently, I tell him, pointing toward her. He glances over there and then starts to trudge through the sand toward her, so I follow. Can you help us? We're looking for the fairies so that we can get out of here. Do you know where to find them? He asks the mermaid. She replies with a laugh. The fairies? Who told you that? They can't help you. The only way to get out of this place is to swim out. I can show you the way. Just follow me. Immediately, Natalie dips her foot into the water. I stare at her in disbelief. I don't know how she can believe a word that the mermaid is saying. After everything that's already happened and that sneaky little troll that tricked us, I'm on high alert. Natalie, what are you doing? The lady by the lake told us that we need to find the fairies, so that's what we're going to do. The troll already tricked us. I'm not going to let the same thing happen again. Wyatt, how do you know there isn't another way out of here? Before I can answer, the mermaid lets out an ear-piercing shriek, and then all the others begin to swim toward the beach. She snatches Natalie by the leg and starts to drag her under the water, but Nathan and I grab a hold of her arms and pull as hard as we can. The mermaid is really strong, and once the others reach the shore and begin to help her, it's almost impossible to keep a good grip on Natalie. She disappears beneath the dark water, and then Nathan dives in after her. I don't know what to do. I stand there on the beach wondering, should I wait here in case one of them comes back up so that I can pull them out, or should I dive in after them? That's when I see Natalie's head bob up out of the water and she starts swimming toward me as fast as she can. Just as she makes it to the shore, the same thunderous roar we heard in the forest echoes all around us. We stare at each other with a look of pure panic. We have to go now, I tell her, as I race back toward the invisible wall that led us here. We leap through it just as I see Nathan's head bob up out of the water. Natalie screams, I just saw him! We have to go back! Yeah, I saw him too, I say as I peek my head back through the wall and see the giant beast carrying his bloody body in his repulsive arms. The thing sees me and drops him like he's nothing more than a rag doll. You can tell by the way his body hits the ground that every bone is broken. Not to mention his torn, blood-soaked clothes that I could see pieces of his flesh sticking out of. Then it comes charging right through the wall after us. I grab Natalie and drag her along behind me. I keep telling myself that distance is all that matters. Put distance between us and it. So I continue to run, my feet pounding the ground beneath me. I wheeze as my burning lungs gasp for air. My legs feel numb and unsteady, my throat feels dry, and my heart is beating so incredibly fast, faster than it's ever beat before. Then suddenly, I lose my balance and we go tumbling down an embankment. When we finally come to a stop, I sit up and look around at our surroundings. We're still in the forest, and I no longer hear the thing coming after us, so Natalie and I get up and try to find our way out. I start walking one way, but Natalie stops me and points in the opposite direction. There's something glowing just beyond the trees in the distance. We cautiously make our way towards it and are led into another forest, but this one is like enchanted or something. Everything in here is glowing. As I stand there mesmerized by what I'm seeing, Natalie yells, "Oh my goodness, Wyatt! Look, there they are!" Hovering over near a large tree are three fairies, their wings fluttering like confetti. We race over to them. Close up, their wings appear to be as soft as flower petals. One of the fairies flies to the ground and closes her wings, neatly folding them behind her tiny frame. She steps forward, her footfalls lost beneath the many sounds of the forest. Her skin appears to be the color of my mom's morning latte, yet her hair is almost translucent. It's glowing white in the moonlight. She makes her way over to us, moving like she's made only of water. "We've been looking for you. The lady by the lake told us you could help us find the way out of here." She smiles.
Of course, I will show you the way. But first, you must do something for us.
"What?" I question suspiciously.
One of you must bring us the lady by the lake, and the other must drink from a sacred well, and then fill this canteen with the same water for the other. Once you do that, the lady of the lake will say an incantation, and that is what will release you from here.
"Where is the well?"
It is in a part of the forest that we are banned from, so you'll have to find it yourself.
I pull Natalie aside and tell her that I don't know if it's such a good idea to split up. We have to do this, Wyatt. You find the well, and I'll go back to the lake and get the lady. After that, we can go back to the beach and find Nathan and get out of here. A single tear falls from my eye, and as I wipe it away, I tell her, "Nathan's not coming back. That beast, it killed him." "What? What did you see back there, Wyatt?" It's too gruesome to tell you in detail. All I can say is that there was nothing left of him but blood and bones. She begins to sob uncontrollably, so I give her a hug and comfort her for a moment. That's why I don't think we should split up. If you haven't noticed already, this is no place for humans. It's a vile place that we should have never stumbled across. For all we know, we could have walked through the entrance to hell. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to be alone in this place. The fairy interrupts.
This is the only way to escape this place. You must fulfill your task, or you'll be stuck here forever.
So without seeing another choice, we separate to fulfill our tasks. I find the well rather quickly, then lower the canteen down into it and fill it, thinking that this was a lot easier than I thought it'd be. That's when I decide that instead of drinking the water now, like the fairy said, I'm going to wait until I return. That way Natalie and I can drink it at the same time. I'm just about to start heading back when a booming roar reverberates through the trees. Not again, I think to myself. When the ground starts to rumble and shake beneath me, I search for a place to hide. Then I see the giant beast coming right at me. Drool is streaming from his bottom lip as he growls. I can see his jagged teeth and his one eye is glowing under the moonlight. It's a dark red color. I dart behind the nearest tree and close my eyes, terrified that this thing is going to catch me and eat me. Then its thunderous footsteps suddenly stop. Hoping that it's disappeared into another part of this world, I slowly peek around the side of the tree, but then come face to face with it. Images of it grabbing me and swallowing me whole, or its gnarled teeth crunching on my bones as they break and me screaming in agony as it all happens, flood my mind. Then just as I'm about to scream, it motions for me to remain quiet. It has a look in its eye. It actually looks scared. "Please, don't hurt me," I whisper as tears stream down my face. It cracks its big mouth wide open, releasing a foul stench, and to my disbelief, it talks.
"I'm trying to help you."
A confused look spreads across my face. "But you killed Nathan, and you've been chasing us this whole time."
"I was trying to catch you so that I could show you the way out of here."
Of course, I don't believe it. Every single creature that I've met so far has said that exact same thing.
"I'm so sorry about your friend. I tried to save him from those sirens, but by the time I took him out of the water, it was too late.
You're lying.
I once was a boy just like you, until the Mother of the Woods lured me here and trapped me. Then she turned me into this when I refused to do what she wanted. And that's not all. She made this whole place into the abomination that you see now. From what I heard, it used to be a nice place, just like back home. But when people began to damage nature, she lost her mind and turned this into what you see now.
Mother of the Woods? What did she want from you?
Huh. So you haven't run into her yet then. It's a good thing you haven't. She's the evilest thing in this place. She wanted me to bring a girl back here. She needs the blood of a virgin girl to get out of this place.
Well, what does she look like?
She's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. Her skin is the finest shade of chestnut, and she has the reddest hair. But the sure way to know it's her is when you see her legs. They are covered with...
Tree bark, I say, finishing his sentence.
Yes, how did you know? I thought you said you'd never seen her before.
I thought I hadn't. I've been calling her the lady by the lake. I think she lured me and my cousins here too. We heard singing. It was coming from a tree, so we climbed inside and then all hell broke loose. And now we're trying to get back home. The fairies told me that I had to drink from the sacred well and bring some water back for my cousin to drink.
The fairies? They're nothing but trouble. They'll trick you to get whatever they want, and then they'll kill you. They work for the Mother of the Woods. They're her little minions.
He says, angrily slapping the canteen from my hands. What are you doing? We need that to get out of here.
That water is poison. What else did the fairies tell you?
They told Natalie to go find the Mother of the Woods and bring her back to them. That way she can say the incantation and release us from here.
Don't you see what they're doing? They wanted to get the girl all alone, and you gave them exactly what they wanted.
Oh no, they're going to kill her, I whisper as my heart starts beating out of my chest. I start dashing through the forest in search of Natalie as the giant beast's last words ring out behind me.
Whatever you do, don't let her loose into the human world. She'll wreak nothing but havoc.
Then I stop and shout back, I still don't know my way out.
It's the same way you came in.
But she told me that was the way in, and I had to find my way out through another.
How many times do I have to tell you? She's doing everything in her power to keep the girl trapped here. She told me the same thing once.
As I run through the forest, I keep an eye out for Natalie but see no sign of her or the fairies. Then I finally stumble upon the same cobblestone path that led us into the forest and race up it. It brings me back out into where the lake is. I cautiously look around, searching for the Mother of the Woods, but she's no longer sitting near the edge of the lake like she was when we first entered. Immediately, I wonder if Natalie found her and is already on her way back to the fairies. I see the archway and decide that the best thing I can do at this point is to go get help. I can try to bring my dad back to help me find her. So I run through it without looking back and then dash through the tree and come stumbling out the hole. But the tree looks different now. It's no longer glowing like it was, and its branches are bare instead of full of the bright leaves that were covering them before. A moment later, I hear a voice calling my name. The closer I listen, I determine that it's coming from the direction of my house. I assume it must be my mom looking for us. So I trudge through the woods, following the sound of the voice, trying to find my way back. Then I see a figure appear in the distance. I dash toward it, just knowing that it must be my mom. She found me, I think to myself, as relief washes over me. Mom, I'm over here! But the closer I get, the figure begins to come more into focus, and that's when I see that it's Natalie calling my name. Oh, thank goodness, you found your way out. But then I notice there's something weird about the way she's saying my name. She sounds so weak. I rush over to her, and when I finally reach her, she collapses into my arms. I look down and see that both of her wrists are slit, all the way from her elbow to her hand. She calls my name 2 more times as I watch the light leave her eyes. I start to tear up just as I hear my name again. I look up to see the Mother of the Woods standing over us, now knowing that our world is doomed to the same fate as the one we just came from. Don't forget to subscribe for new stories weekly. See you next time on
Nina's Nightmares.
Really? You're supposed to click the like button, not me. Ugh.